Hi, you've clicked onto today's tropical tidbit for Monday. Not much to really look at over here in the tropical Atlantic. Colin died. Bad forecast by me, forecasting it to strengthen before Bermuda. It hasn't done much of what I thought it was going to do during its life. Kind of a blown forecast there. To my comfort, the Hurricane Center also wasn't in line with an intensifying storm at Bermuda, but it didn't materialize. So good news for them, bad news for my forecast, but it happens. Colin's gone now. We got this behind it, trying to become Danielle. It's toying with tropical depression status, really toying, pretty much getting as close as you can get without being one. The Hurricane Center wants to see more thunderstorm activity organized around the center to classify this. We'll see if it ever gets there. It has just about as good of a chance of not making it as making it to a named storm. We've got a lot of dry air out here, which I did mention many days ago that would limit this system as it came across, and you can see it's not really wanting to strengthen much. This will eventually curve out over here in the next few days. Not much else going on over here. The MJO is coming back into our area of the world, so convection is starting to increase in this area, but so far no immediate threats looking like they will show themselves during the next few days. I did mention we may have a little bit of a quiet period after Colin and potentially Danielle got out of the way, and we may have to wait for about a week after that to see our next storm. We'll see how that goes. It won't be long, won't be a long wait. Looking over here close to home, there's something to watch. This is Invest 94L over here. This is a low pressure system near southwest Florida, backing into the Gulf over here. And there's an upper low out here, and this surface low system will probably curve up into Louisiana in 2 to 3 days. And this upper low will be following it behind, backing southwest. And we'll have to see how this goes. This could be a feedback type development, and this is something you want to watch in the Gulf. It's part of an old front, and of course always want to watch old fronts in the Gulf of Mexico, especially when they're associated with trough splits over here. The only problem is with this big high building again over the south, upper high, you're going to get shearing easterly winds on the south side. And what we'll want to really see this kind of development is to probably see the cold core upper low stay with it. Normally you'd rather see the cold core upper low back away and ventilate it, but if you get the big high building over here, we learned this lesson with Bonnie, you don't want this big easterly flow aloft pushing on it, so you'd probably want to see it stay more stacked with the cold core upper low and then start to feed back in here before making it to the coast. We'll see if that can happen, but if the upper low separates and stays close by here to the south, we may see easterly shear over it, and this may not get a real chance to get going. But it should be watched very closely. It's near the oil spill area and all that stuff, so just keep an eye on it over here. At any rate, some rain for South Florida and surrounding areas regardless. Now this is the MJO, Madden-Julian Oscillation archive since 1974. I know this is hard to see over here. This is from the Center for Australian Weather and Climate Research. If you Google AU MJO, you'll find this page. They give you the seasons for the summer, June through September, Northern Hemisphere summer, and the Northern Hemisphere winter, December through March. Now here's what we look like for the last 90 days since May this year. You can see we've been really focused over here in octants 1 and 2, and all these octants have been really barren in here, and the MJO has only really been hanging out, very focused in this area. Now, if you look back through those archive years, I dare you to find one where the MJO was focused during the summer as much in octants 1 and 2 as it has been so far this year. If this trend continues, this will be the most focused year in this area of the world that I can find. Nothing in the archive comes close to this. Even if we look at some of the more active years in the Atlantic, like 2005, the big mega year, pretty neutral in here. Didn't really get out in here all that much. It stayed pretty neutral. 1995, 19 named storms, pretty neutral. You did have it out here in July and the first half of August, but the second half of August and on in September went into the Pacific, and overall pretty neutral if you average everything out. You can't. We're in the zone in here. This is right in the zone. Octants 1 and 2, right where upward motion is favored in the Atlantic, and I can't find anything in this archive that comes even close to this so far. So we'll see if this trend continues. You can see the latest MJO through the 6th over here, coming right back in for another round in this area of the world. You can see where the GFS is, analyzing the upward motion over here today and showing it lasting over the Atlantic through the end of the month with a big downward pulse over the Pacific where it belongs. This is the way things should stay. Again, Because of the water temperature profile, you got this La Nina over here shutting things down in the Pacific. We had a tie for the record quietest July ever in the Eastern Pacific. No ACE recorded, only one tropical depression. Western Pacific had one of the slowest starts ever to its typhoon season ever in recorded history. And we just came off one of the top 5 El Niños since 1950, one of the fastest crashes into a strong La Nina since 1950, and that left all this heat hanging in the atmosphere. That's why the global temperature is still above normal. The Earth's heat budget is out of balance, and the atmosphere's favorite way to balance its heat balance is with tropical cyclones, but global ACE is well below normal. The Pacific is shut down. Where are you going to go if you want tropical cyclones to help balance the Earth's heat budget? The only place to really go this summer is the Atlantic Basin, where all this warm water is, where the MJO has been focused in our area of the world all summer, potentially one of the biggest focusings of upward motion in our basin since 1974 when the archive began, and everything is pointing to this eventually coming off. Why hasn't the lid really come off yet? We've only had just a couple of storms. Joe Bastardi has a theory that the continents have been too warm, too far south to really allow upward motion to focus down here, something we saw in 2007 where the core of the warmth over the eastern U.S. was too far south to allow much upward motion here, but he thinks that when this shifts farther north, and as we get later on into the summer season, the continents start to cool, and you focus a bunch of upward motion in the Atlantic, and the burst comes, and we'll see how that plays out. You can see the GFS showing the upward motion staying in our area of the world. Really shouldn't move much. It's stuck in here. It's just stuck. And then if we look at the long-range GFS, 1, 2, 3 storms showing up. Again, specifics of the model. That's not what I'm showing you. I'm not telling you that a Cat 3 is coming through the Yucatan Channel in 16 days. I'm telling you that the model is seeing a bunch of activity where upward motion is starting to focus, low pressures. You're going to see the lid come off, and this pot is going to start boiling over pretty soon. It's coming. We may have to wait a week to 10 days now after these invests are out of the way to see much more activity, but things are going to start popping in this area of the world pretty soon over here. And we're not going to be off the hook. By the time August is over, we should have racked up a few more named storms, and September should be one for the record books in terms of activity. We'll see how this forecast goes. So far I see no reason to back down. It's still coming. Just be patient and be ready. Don't let your guard down. That's it for today. Thanks for watching.